Have you struggled to be successful with your workouts? Do you feel like you would exercise, but it's just been really tough to find that success that you're looking for from exercise? So many people feel this way. So if that's you, you are not alone. But on today's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast, Julie and I are going to lay out a simple plan to follow to help you overcome the hurdles that you feel like may be holding you back from having success with exercise. We're going to cue the intro song and then we're going to dive right into this conversation. Welcome to the Exercise is Health podcast, where we're talking about exercise, health, and the interconnectedness of the two. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we will be coming to you every single week from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Charlie. Before we dive into this week's episode, I want to let you know that we recently released a book called The Exercise for Life Method. And if you enjoy the conversations that we have every single week on this podcast, then you are going to love this book. So to pick up a free copy of this book, all you have to do is go to exerciseforlifemethod.com. Now, without further ado, let's dive into this week's episode. Hey, welcome back, exercisers, to the Exercise is Health podcast. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie,
and we're coming to you from our studio, Muscle Activation Schaumburg, here in Schaumburg, Illinois, where we believe that your health is your most valuable asset, and the single best thing that you can do to both boost and protect this asset is exercise. Specifically, exercise is geared towards building the health and function of your muscles. Now, one of the more common reasons that we find that people don't exercise as much as we promote exercising on this podcast is they feel like they haven't been successful with exercise in the past. And that can look like a bunch of different things. Maybe they didn't reach the goal weight that they were wanting to, or maybe they didn't, run as fast as they thought they should be able to after, trying to exercise for a bit. But whatever that looks like, not having success with exercise, honestly, is one of the biggest deterrents from people exercising now, like in present day. So what can be done about this? Like, are we all just supposed to then hang our heads and be like, wow, I guess exercising just isn't for me? Or are there some things that we all can do to actually help increase the likelihood of success that we have with our workout? So that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today.
Charlie, I don't know anything that's more frustrating than to be spinning your wheels. Well, you don't think you're spinning your wheels. You think you're working really hard at something. And then when you look back at that time of working hard at something, you feel like, dang, I didn't make any progress. I was not successful. And you realize, dang, I was spinning my wheels the whole time. With any situation, that is incredibly frustrating, and it makes you not motivated to keep doing it. And I think one of the big root causes of this is, picture this. I can see it now. You're flipping through a magazine, or you're on Instagram, or you're on Facebook, and you see a picture of, let's just say a woman that looks a certain way, and then she transforms into this other being, the same human, but, different shape, different size, different weight, different look to her. And then the caption, it says, do these 5 exercises, this is what Mary did. And that is what we're presented. And so we think, oh, okay, well, exercise is the thing that got her from A to B. And if I do exercise, I might get from A, which is where I am now, to B, which is where I'd like to be in the future. And there's a huge problem to this.
Yeah, it's really a struggle for a lot of people. I mean, look, our entire lives going through school, we're told, hey, if you do this assignment and then you get this grade, then, after second grade, you get to move into third grade. And then you do these assignments and you get these grades, and then you move into fourth grade. And so we are fed into this system of believing that, okay, well, if I just follow, step 1, step 2, step 3, the guidelines that are given to me, well, now all of a sudden I'll automatically get to move to that next step. And the problem when it comes to exercise is that a lot of times what we think of as the next step for us, or, that destination, like Julie was saying, point A to point B, it's stuff that actually doesn't have much at all to do with exercise. Meaning if you see some dramatic, body transformation, whether it's weight loss or, anything like that, and you're like, oh my gosh, like their physique looks amazing, and these were the exercises that they did. Okay, cool. Like, I'm just going to follow these exercises. I'm just going to follow this workout plan, and I'm going to look like that. I remember in 2012, I had a client come in, hand me a magazine, and said, the new Wolverine movie? I go, yeah. He goes, well, I want to look like him. and here are the exercises that we did. So, can we just like follow this and do this? And that's what was promoted, right? Like I remember when the movie 300 came out, like it was like, oh, you do the Spartan 300 workout, and it's like, here are the workouts that the actors did to get as shredded as they did for the movie. So just follow these exercises, and we're like, okay, cool. So like we do these exercises, and then like the whole time we're checking abs in the mirror and like, why do we not look like they like we are Spartans, right? So we get to that, and we're like, oh, well, I guess I wasn't successful with that. And when we have that mindset of how we're indoctrinated, through school and, through media, and we bring that into our workouts, feeling successful with our workouts can ultimately be really challenging. And like you're saying, Julie, when we don't feel successful with something, it's really hard to keep coming back to it with as much enthusiasm as we do at the start.
So while we're talking about this, it's making me just think about expectation management, figuring out what is happening here, what can we expect to happen. And I think what we are presented with in the media and, Spartan movie, which I don't know what that is, but anyways, that kind of stuff, it blows expectations out of the way. For example, if someone goes through a dramatic weight loss, dramatic body change, transformation, it's amazing, cool, they're healthier, all these things, and then they tell you the workout routine that they did. Well, that's great. But what you're not seeing is what kind of nutritional changes have they made? What kind of mental emotional changes have they made? What kind of sleep changes have they made? The problem with how it's presented to us in the media is that exercise is used as the blanket to solve all your stuff, all your problems, all the things that you're working on. Every goal is multifaceted, and exercise can play an integral part in many health goals. And actually, it's crucial for your health to be exercising. But exercise is not responsible for every health change. In fact, if you use exercise to change certain things, you can actually make exercise become incredibly unhealthy. One thing that comes to mind is when people excessively use exercise for weight loss. And exercise is actually really terrible at weight loss when you only use exercise for weight loss, because exercise, when used for weight loss, turns into an excessive stress on your body. And so again, exercise can't be the one thing that gets you to success. And I know that many people feel unsuccessful with exercise because they think that exercise is the one thing that is going to bring about success. So on this podcast, I want to make sure that we make sure that you're clear on what does success with exercise mean? Because success with exercise does not mean that you are at point A, you apply exercise and immediately get to point B, or you get to point B in 3 months. There's multiple pieces to every goal. But when we're thinking about exercise, what does a successful exercise routine look like? And the one thing that a successful exercise routine looks like is that it's consistent.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct, Julie. Consistency with exercise is the true measure of success with your exercise. And why is that? Well, largely because when you are consistent with your workouts, you're giving yourself the best chance possible to reach all the other goals that you would like to through your workouts, okay? Whether that is losing weight or changing your physique or whatever, regardless of like the actual role that exercise plays in those, above all else, number one is you have to be consistent with your workouts, okay? In fact, this is something that we talked about in our book, The Exercise for Life Method, is that when we talk about achieving, and in that book we said there's one and only one goal of exercise, all right? We say the one and only goal of exercise is to improve the health and function of your body. And the way you go about achieving that goal is through consistency. Now, we talked about a few different types of consistency in that book. That's not what we're going to be talking about on this podcast episode right now. We've talked about it in other podcasts, but understand that regardless of what goal you are trying to achieve, first and foremost, it requires, above all else, is that you are consistent with your workouts. So really, when it comes to, the question of, am I successful with my workouts or not? It boils down to, am I being consistent with my workouts? And if you can answer yes to that, well, then guess what? you are achieving success with your workouts. Now, the question that we may run into then is, okay, well, how do we go about being consistent with your workouts? And that plan of action is exactly what we want to lay out for you today.
That's right. And I want to give you 2 examples that I have in my group of clients that I have right now of people that before they falsely labeled that they were not successful with exercise, but really they have been. So one of my clients, she's been trying to lose weight for a really long time. She'd be one of those people that she felt like she was overweight her entire life. But actually for 30 years, she's been trying to lose weight and trying to exercise consistently. And the one thing that she actually has done is exercise consistently. But the first time she came in to see me, she said, well, I've been trying to lose weight for a really long time. I've been using exercise to do it. Sometimes I change how I'm eating, and it's really just not been all that successful. And I had to teach her and show her that actually the exercise piece of that goal, she's been knocking it out of the park. She's been doing great. She weight trains regularly. She walks regularly. She gets on her bike regularly. So that piece, she's been doing a great job at. And so what's really cool with that is that no, she's not at her goal, but at least she can check it off the list that the exercise component of that goal is being taken care of. And now it's her responsibility to explore how to cover the other aspects. Another example of this is one of my clients, she really wanted to run a 5K. And so running 5Ks and doing exercise that's healthy and promoting health in your body are 2 different things. And so she was really bummed when she realized that she wouldn't be doing her 5K because her knee was just bothering her too much. And I had to show her that achieving the 5K was not a sign that she was being successful with her exercise. In fact, the fact that she would show up for her exercise twice a week here and do her home exercise, that was the sign that she was doing the appropriate exercise for her health. So if you find yourself in these shoes, let's talk about ways to make sure that you are being successful with your exercise.
All right, so let's start diving into this 3-step process to help you get your workouts in more consistently. Okay, step number 1 is to make sure that you are scheduling your workouts. Now, there are a couple ways that you can go about scheduling your work. Okay, the first way is what we call time scheduling. And this is what we often think about when we think about scheduling something. Okay, meaning we're going to do it, Monday at noon. We're going to do it Tuesday at 3 p.m. So it has a specific day, a specific date, and a specific time that we are going to be doing that thing. And for a lot of people, that works really well. You need to know that, okay, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12 p.m., I'm going to be going and getting my workout in. And so if that works for you, awesome. But it doesn't always work for everybody. And in fact, there are some reasons why you feel like it may not work for you. You may be feeling, well, that won't work for me because quite frankly, I just don't have time. I look at my calendar and I don't see any white space. There's just too much stuff going on. And so if you find yourself in that boat, which a lot of people do, then we are going to suggest the second type of scheduling, which is what we call event scheduling.
Event scheduling is my jam. So I'm glad that I get to talk about it because this is the way it works for my brain. Event scheduling is when you do something and then you do the next thing after or before. For example, when I want to ride my cycle bike in the morning, I know that I'm going to do it right after I wake up. So I don't know exactly what time I'm going to start the bike, if it's 7 or 6:35 or 6:30. It's not in my schedule like that, but I know that it's happening right after I wake up. Or another way that I conduct event scheduling in my day is my kids' bedtime. I don't know what time that I get them in their pajamas, but I know that it happens right after dinner, right after bath. So that is the example of event scheduling. So if it's easier for you to not think time, but instead think of events, then try to event schedule. I have a handful of clients that will work out. They'll go to the gym after they're done with their work. What time are you done with work? Well, a lot of people don't know what time. 5-ish, 5:10, 5:15, 5:30, 3 o'clock, whatever time that they're done with work, they go and exercise and then they go home. So if time scheduling doesn't work for you, try event scheduling.
Now, the reason why this is so important is because a lot of people say, okay, well, I'm gonna get my workout in, when I have the time, or I'm gonna get my workout in, when the time opens up, when there's an opportunity to get it done. But here's the thing: scheduling it, whether it's time scheduling or event scheduling, starts to make it more of a priority for you. Okay, the reality is there's just an open gap of time in your schedule. Guess what's going to fill it? Stuff. Like, stuff always fills open gaps. Rarely is there ever a time where people are just kind of sitting around being like, well, I guess I'm just going to kind of twiddle my thumbs until I think of the next thing to do. Like, most of the time, if there's just open time, it's going to get filled with something. So it becomes really important when we're talking about being able to exercise consistently for the long term to make sure that you are scheduling your exercise, again, whether it's time scheduling or event scheduling.
Now, we're thinking about being consistent. Remember, we're saying when you exercise and when there's success with exercise, it means that you're doing it consistently. When we're talking about scheduling your exercise, that's like consistency, like through the week. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go to work out regularly. There's time during the week that I designate for exercise. Another way to be consistent is to move throughout your day. Now, moving throughout your day, a lot of people don't label as exercise, but it is a potent piece of exercise for your health. And that is being on your feet and moving throughout the day. So things like parking further away when you go to the grocery store or when you go to the office so that you have a little more of a hike to get in, taking the stairs rather than the elevator, drinking more water so you're forced to get up and move and go to the restroom. Those types of things, as little as they seem, consistently moving throughout your day is really, really important. So try to find ways to move throughout your day that's not really labeled as exercise. You're not getting sweaty, you're not putting gym shoes on, but it's a reason or a way to just get your body moving throughout the day. It'll be low intensity, really easy to do, but the challenging part of it is to find the time or to just remember to get up and move throughout your day.
The reason why this step is so important is because, yes, there's an importance from a health perspective of making sure that you are moving throughout your day. But from an exercise consistency perspective, getting up and moving consistently throughout your day starts to tell your brain that, okay, this physical activity thing, this movement thing, like this is important to us. And when your brain thinks something is important to you, it's going to seek out and it's going to see more opportunities to do that thing. So just by simply getting up and moving consistently throughout your day, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time, doing that 5 to 10 times a day, like, again, consistently, like every single day, that starts to teach your brain, oh, okay, this is something new that we're prioritizing. Oh, okay, well, yeah, this is something we're going to be doing all the time now. I guess I should make it easier for us by just seeing more opportunities to do that, seeking out and seeing more opportunities to do that. So it's a really cool thing that happens is when you start moving more throughout your day, you start to see more opportunities to get in physical activity, to get in exercise throughout your day. The other reason why this is really important is because it starts to reinforce the identity that you have of yourself, of you are somebody who is physically active. You are somebody who moves consistently throughout your day. You are somebody who exercises, okay? One of the easiest ways for people to fall out of the habit of exercise is when their identity about themselves shifts and they no longer see themselves as somebody who exercises consistently. And if you don't see yourself as somebody who exercises consistently, well, guess what? The actions that you take throughout your day are going to start to match up to that story of like, well, I'm not really somebody who exercises all the time. So, I guess, yeah, today's just going to be another one of those days where I don't exercise because that's just who I am. But if you see yourself as somebody who exercises consistently, if you see yourself as somebody who moves consistently throughout your day, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to say, yeah, no, I'm not going to exercise today, even though I know that how I see myself is as somebody who exercises.
Absolutely, Charlie. I think that last point you made is gigantic with just how do you see yourself? Are you being responsible and are you finding identity in the person that is moving with consistency? The last piece is going to be find accountability for this consistency. Now, some people find it really easy to start moving and some people find it really hard to find the time to exercise. So if you're one of those people that finds it pretty hard to find time to exercise, accountability might be that last key step that really, really seals the deal for you. And now you can find accountability in two ways. One it can be with yourself. And number two, it can be with others. So if you are pretty good at keeping yourself accountable, well, then do that. A lot of people like to have apps or some ways to take notes or something to track for yourself. If you really enjoy having that like personal accountability, just that check mark that you did it that day, or entering the information into the app that you use, or whatever it is that gives you that accountability, and that's enough for you to keep you going. Now, if this is not enough for you, or maybe you're just more social, sharing this mission of being more consistent with exercise can be really, really helpful, because other people that are on your side, that are on your team, they're not working against you, are going to be really, really helpful and also accepting of like, hey, this person is trying to morph into this new identity of like this moving person, this exercise person. And I think that's really, really that can be really potent for a lot of people, because making change in your life is really hard, and especially when you're new at it. It's like trying out a new skill. So informing people about this new skill that you're developing can really help you on your consistency journey.
Yeah, and just to build on that last point, not only finding people to help to hold you accountable, but finding people who are on this same journey with you, who see themselves as people who are exercisers, who move consistently throughout their day, who work out on a consistent basis. You start associating yourself more with that group of people, and you will find that you're moving more throughout your day. You will find that it's easier to get your workouts in on a regular basis, because the people that you are associating with, they see themselves as somebody who moves consistently throughout the day, somebody who's an exerciser, somebody who works out consistently. So that's a kind of another bonus with this accountability piece, is like, yeah, not only do you have somebody to say, hey, did you get your workout in today? But you also just get to ride the momentum of the group of people that you're now associating yourself with, who are moving throughout their day as well.
I love that you said that, Charlie. And I want to touch on one of the things you said of that, hey, did you get your workout in? I think so many people take that as a negative thing. Like they're like, oh my gosh, I'm being judged for not getting my workout in. But more of like, when you have the right people asking you that question, it's more of, hey, how can I support you better so that you can get your workout in? Or do we need to talk about something so that you can get your workout in? So find those right accountability people, whether it's with yourself or with others.
So the challenge that so many people face is that when they try to exercise and they feel like they're not successful, they start to instead tell themselves this story of, well, I guess exercise just isn't for me. Well, I guess I'm just one of those people that, exercise doesn't work for. And, honestly, it's like out of my control because, I have a job and I have, a family and I have a household to manage and I have everything else in my life going on. So, maybe it's just not for me right now, or maybe it's not, for me forever. But at least at this moment, I'm not somebody who exercises. And so that is kind of the thoughts that go through so many people's heads. Those are the ideas that so many people have about their opportunity to exercise and about themselves. And so the danger is that when you don't follow these steps that we laid out, when you don't schedule your workouts, when you don't start moving consistently throughout your day to see your opportunities start to change the story that you have about yourself, when you don't start to associate yourself with others who have that same story of, I'm somebody who exercises consistently, everything like that, then you fall into this cycle, you fall into this trap of thinking that, yeah, exercise just isn't for me. Like the exercise is just something that I'm just never going to be successful with because, I'm not able to do it. I'm not able to reach my goals. I'm not able to do it on a consistent basis. And so we lay out this process for you. We lay out these steps so you can be successful with exercise, so you can do it on a consistent basis, so you can consistently build your health, build your strength, build your function with your workouts, and ultimately so you can really relieve yourself of that emotional burden that so many carry, thinking that, well, in order to be successful with my workouts, I need to lose 20 pounds by the end of the year. I need to be able to run my 5K. I need to be able to do 50 push-ups or whatever, right? Like that's the burden that so many people carry when it comes to thinking about success with exercise. And we want to say it doesn't have to be that way. There's another option for you, and that option is to look at success with your workouts as consistency with your workouts. And following these 3 steps can help you do just that. So if you'd like some examples of how to actually exercise from the convenience of your own home and do so on a consistent basis, we put out something that we think is pretty darn cool, and it's completely free. We want to invite you to access it right now. Okay. It's called the 5-Day Workout Challenge. And what this is 5 workouts over 5 days that you will get access to. And it will show you how you have the opportunity, the ability to exercise consistently no matter how crazy busy your schedule is, because these workouts are super time condensed. They require minimal equipment. You can get them done right from your living room. So all you have to do to get instant access to the 5-Day Workout Challenge is go to 5dayworkoutchallenge.com. That's the number 5dayworkoutchallenge.com. So who do you know that needs to hear this episode? Who do you know that is discouraged from trying to exercise at all because they feel like they haven't been successful with exercise in the past? Share this episode with them so they can understand some different approaches to how they can think about their workouts, how they can think about success with their workouts, and what they can do to help them achieve success with their workouts. And while you're online, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps people find our podcast when they're looking for information on exercise and when they're looking for information on health. So if you found value in this conversation today, let us know by leaving us that 5-star rating and review. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Have a fantastic week. We'll talk with you all next week. So how'd you like that episode? Did you find the information useful? If you enjoyed what we discussed today, then you are going to love the Exercise for Life Method, which is a book that we just put out and you can get a free copy of by going to exerciseforlifemethod.com. All we ask is that you pay for shipping and handling. So head there now and get your free copy, as well as some exclusive bonuses that you will get instant access to when you get the book. You can learn more and get your copy at exerciseforlifemethod.com. This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.